Welcome back to another Crapganinstand tour. This is uh tour number 6. Yeah, tour number 6 now. And as promised, this is Jah Church. As I said, we'd get into in the next episode. So, Jah Church is an original Afghanistan build. It was blown up in original Afghanistan, but here's the recreation of it. It's pretty accurate within this room. So I briefly mentioned that there was a command block at spawn, which acted as like a bow duplicator, pretty much like a structure block, but like for a bow. And so they were able to copy and paste the same structure right above. So that's how this was originally created, but this is just a recreation. Up here, there's the Jah Library. So I forgot to mention that Jah is, of course, a religion. Jah Church is. So it worships XX Tentacion, who is known as Jah, at least here. This is the incomplete banquet room. There's a little banquet hall here. I got some original pictures of it, just haven't gone to it. And this room here is the only surviving part of the original Jah Church. I have that ruin in the original Afghanistan museum. But there was really nothing in here except a Houston Daily graffiti saying, "Fuck the government," because the Afghanistan government kinda sucked. AKA the world owner. Well, at the time. He's pretty chill now. And there was nothing really in that one. But in older pictures, there's like almost looked like a Steve version of XX Tentacion. So yeah. And behind Jah Church is the residential type area. It's a general residential area. I made my little house here, but like there's some other ones. This was the house of a guy by the name of Hayden. Sadly, all the glass, which was hardened stained glass, is gone with the transfer. This was my first house I made, well, a recreation of it from the Xbox 360 edition of Minecraft. But I remember my first house exactly. It had this nether brick floor, and I tried to put nether brick slabs like this, and found that items would be floating above it. So I'm like, huh, that's interesting. But it was like a really simple interior. It looks something like this. I was obsidian. This is one of Tamek's houses here. This is Tamek's recreation of the Plants vs. Zombies house. You know, the classic Plants vs. Zombies 1. You know, the mobile. You know, the swimming pool, the hedge here. You know, when you get there. And then you got the roof where you're fighting the big giant guy. And you got plants over here. And you, of course, start in the front lawn. Then there's this house right here, Nash's house. Another original Afghanistan world structure I was able to recreate. It was just a simple little house which I was able to archive on the world. And I had some pictures of it. I forget what was there. Then there's a recreation of the Afghanistan school. Moved out of the way to make room for some more residential areas. But this was like where the voting would happen, since there was elections held in Afghanistan. Frankly, most of them were rigged. This over here, I don't know, this house just has a strange, eerie vibe for me. But it was from a old world back in 2018 called City in the Mountain. I have done a tour on City in the Mountain, and this was the ruins of that ranch house right outside of the wall. Well, it has its own separate wall. But I pretty much built it how I see it. And I don't know, it just has an eerie vibe to it. I decorated it for Halloween, of course, the little pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns as well. And if anyone knows the music artist NF, this is Mansion, or The Mansion, from his album Mansion, that I was trying to recreate. Good album, by the way. But I didn't finish The Mansion, of course. Oh, jeez. There. And then over here, there is the lake house. Well, my family's lake house. This is the front side, actually, and the what was it? The road would be over here. And this used to be a cherry tree. Actually, it died. I had to cut out the base and all. There's always this AC thing here. Oh, well, actually I need to update this. This is where we have a rock garden right now. So that's cool. And there's always this stump here. I remember when it used to be a tree, but there was always this stump here afterwards. So I took a few pieces home. Little BBQ, grill, the grill table, some flowers. And there was a deck box here. I got most of the interior. Boiler, or like what heating I think it was, and such. Over here, this is a bathroom and a washing machine room. Back here, there's I guess just general storage. The freezer's back here. And then this is was my grandparents' room and their closet. I never got to finishing that part of the build because, I don't know, I think the proportions were just wrong. But here is the little pantry, the kitchen area. This is the porch. The dining room. Puzzle shelf. Office area. And this is like, I think it was the living room. It got a few bookshelves, second door. And then there's the toy room, or my original room, and then there's the workshop. And that goes outside. And then over here there's the bathroom. There's the closet. My parents' bedroom. And, you know, where everyone else sleeps, the bunk beds. So yeah, it's a cool house. I want to recreate it in Minecraft. Alright, and over here, this is, you know, as you can tell, an Air Force base. I actually got a lot more progress done on this in the more recent version of the world, but I need to transfer all that over here. These planes were made by Kills Carrot. He's someone I'll be talking about when we get to Chernobyl over there. But so this area right here, I had big plans for. I want this to be like downtown. Like a downtown looking old downtown historic area. Now I was basing these buildings off of what was it? Louisville? Yeah, Louisville, or Louisville as they call it. because I was on my way back from St. Louis, or I guess just Missouri in general, and I saw the town. I'm like, oh, that's some cool architecture. Excuse me. And then there's a little train tunnel here. There's a whole train system around the world. I mean, there's right there, and that's where it ends up. But I need to add on to it more. And right over here, this is the Banishers of Light. This is pretty much the church for the poor people who just don't like light. Pretty much they live in the armpit of Jah Church. And then there's a little response, little funny response from the city, because they hate the lights here. And they have this little weird cemetery. And right next door is the Afghanistan University. It was finished in the most current version. There's going to be dorms over here. And back that way I start creating a trailer park, sort of inspired by the movie 8 Mile. I was going to have like a little rap area back there. But oh, how can I not address the massive glizzy in the sky? This is the Glizzy Mothership, another monument of Afghanistan, original Afghanistan. This Glizzy Mothership was made by the server owner, that guy Hayden I mentioned, Wastelander, and I believe Kills Carrot also was part of this. But I helped modify it, renovate it a little bit. And here there's a little Abrams, there's logistics, the death ray camera area. And it's all powered by a 9-volt battery. Navigation room. I recreated all of this, by the way, from hand. I got the exact measurements of this from the world, and I just recreated it all. Well, of course, that was before I knew how structure blocks worked. But here's a little bunk room. You got some dining areas. Another 9-volt. Excuse me. And you got little cargo containers there, a little officers area. And the control room, which is updated from how it used to look. And now for Chernobyl. So Chernobyl was a collaborative build I helped make with Kills Carrot, that dude Hayden, oh yeah, and then Wastelander as well. We all worked on this project. We wanted to make this little radioactive land. So we started by making the Chernobyl reactor, or a reactor. And this happened, like, this was when the world was made, back in 2020. That's when Afghanistan, the original Afghanistan, was made. And so all these nether objects were completely new to us. Actually, Afghanistan, the world, was founded on the same day as the nether update. That's why Blackstone bricks are used for the roads, because it looked cool and it was such a revolutionary new thing at the time. And so we said that the nether stuff, twisted vines and all, are caused by the radiation. So we kind of went off of that. But over here, there's this cool little highway, and this little tube over here for the transit center, that was built later. There was like I think it was like a Chinese place right here. I still need to recover that, because with all this, which I copied over from Afghanistan, they had some original things removed. and I'll point that out later. Over here they have like, it's a little abandoned place, and there's Russian jets because in the Afghanistan lore, Russia was attacking Chernobyl. Well, attacking Chernobyl and also Afghanistan. And we're not trying to base it off the real life places. I mean, it's even spelt wrong. The word Afghanistan. And Crapganinstand as well. Where is it? It doesn't even show the world name there. Guess I have to go in the settings. But this used to be the first Radex clinic. I mentioned the Radex organization, the company I made earlier. But there's like an operating room over here. There's, beds. Overall, it just looks really eerie. Back storeroom. Hacked in items. And that's pretty much it for the Radex clinic. And there's a cool little car which is tipped over. And then there's my first build that I made. And this is all original, by the way, to the world. I mean, not to this world. I didn't recreate this. I tried to recreate it, but I'm like, damn, that's gonna take forever to do. So this was my little power plant. The lore was that I purchased this power plant and then made it into a little bunker underneath. So, a nice little place to wait out the nuclear war above ground. Got your Radaway, and such. Little closet. It used to be only these two rooms because it's directly under. And of course, this is well, technically it's the new super flat, but at the same time it's old because we finally got the old super flats back. But yeah. There's a shed here. This is a second power area. This used to be a radio tower, but of course, that exploded. So we made it into a little ruins here. And there's, right up behind there, right behind the Radex is a little crashed plane. So that's cool. And some crates and stuff. And then this is Hayden's house over here in the forest. He had some, like item spawn egg, whatever that was at the time. Oh, these were broken. These were hacked in items, like these were crazy. Like we had to ban some of these. Entity Lagger, Prime TNT Duper, Teleport Random Player, Summon TNT as Player, Kick All. Oh yeah, we used that one a little bit. But there was a gas noise spamming thing as one of them, and it was super annoying. But it was fun to troll people with. But yeah, that's his little cabin, and there's this little rock wall, or this rock thing here. I guess we'll save that for a little bit later, since that is the Chernobyl reactor. But over here we got, a little tent, another rock thing, some more crashed planes, and then there was a nice little church here, and clearly they put whatever blocks they didn't want to delete from their inventories in these little barrels. But moving over here, this is the first Chernobyl colony, and that's why there's this huge thing. So after this all went to crap originally, we made a little Chernobyl colony, which was like a research facility as well. So like there was market stalls and like houses and property and stuff. You know, a few businesses as well. But eventually we made it all abandoned looking. But there was this little thing here which would connect to over here, and this is the Chernobyl Research Center. So I will say, this is a little goofy right here. This is a flux capacitor. We had a lot of references from movies and other stuff. I mean, you saw a rat away in the bunker, right? I mean, that's from Fallout. And then this is how we tried to replicate the DeLorean. It was pretty bad, especially being 4 blocks wide. We weren't the greatest at making cars at the time. But up here, there's a little storage room. There's like some tea. Beppis was another business as well in the world. So there was a rival business. And there's, oh, of course, Glizzian ketchup in these chests. And this was like I guess the research quarters. And I don't know why this was added onto it, but it was. But down here, I'm being a little brief with this as well for a tour. I'm not giving as much information because there is a story behind these locations. But this is the flooded underwater facility. Well, it wasn't originally underwater, but it's a giant portal. And there's glowing obsidian and all. So there's a whole lore with that as well. But right over here, right past it all. Oh, well, I don't need that anymore. Right past it is Pripyat. And this was not at all accurate to what Pripyat actually looks like. In fact, most of these buildings are just copy and paste. You know, similar interiors, just sort of like mangled and all. However, there is one building which stands out from the rest, and it's this one. And if you find the right lever, this one right here, you get to go to Kills Carrot's drug den. So this is where he has his weed carrots, his no snow, and his 1 pound of weed. But aside from that, the rest of these buildings were kind of the same. And then there's a little Scorpion Halo tank here. There used to be a convoy actually going in. And as I said, I was going to point out areas where there actually was something. There was something here. This was Hayden's Rebellion, as it was known, which was pretty much anti-Afghanistan into Chernobyl area, because, you know, Afghanistan government, BC Twix, who's the world owner, pretty much like, you know, sometimes micromanaged what we did and like to blow up our stuff sometimes. And so if we didn't, you know, if we didn't like that and like try to blow up his own stuff, he just asked a visitor. So we said that this area would not be touched by him and it would just be our project. And so he mostly complied to that. But later on in the lore, there was like there were 2 towers over here that were like ruins. There was a gas station, a whole training camp over here, which was called Hayden's Rebellion. And then there was another area, and that was the Chernobyl Republic, which I got 1 building copied over from that, but they completely erased the rest of it. But before we get to that, we have the Chernobyl reactor. This was solely built by Kills Carrots. He apparently watched a documentary on Chernobyl and was like really fascinated by it, so he wanted to recreate it all. So in here we have a little loading bay, and in here there's a little research room. And then there's the reactors over here. You know, the uranium rods. You know, and all. And then there's like a little lab. Oh yeah, there were lab coats there. And then there's a decontamination chamber there. Up here, oh, this was a cool room. This was the control room, reactor 3, 2, 1, 4. That was the destroyed reactor, which was located nowhere near this. And then there's roof access over here. And on the roof, there's this little helicopter that was, you know, having guys come in. Not even on the helipad for some reason. But the other two buildings here are kind of like, they're just kind of the same. A little, I don't know, something was here. I don't know what it was, but you know, same type of deal right here. And mostly same right here. There's a little crane with supplies, of course, and right over here was the transit center to the Chernobyl Republic. But right over here, this is the Chernobyl Fire Department. You know, in case they needed anything. So yeah, that's there. Oh, sorry about that. All right, let's continue. Oh yeah, so this is a little Chernobyl Fire Department here, and it probably needs an upgrade. But yeah, that's pretty much the entire Chernobyl reactor power plant area. But if you take this little train going down, this entire area was deleted. Well, I guess I should go to the watchtower first, because this was another key location as well, which they modified a lot over time. I mean, the general furniture stayed the same. Oh wow. Now that is an old building technique where you place the loom on the backside and it makes, you know, what looks like an empty bookshelf or bookcase. And now we have the chiseled bookshelf, so just as good. Oh yeah, and then there's all the education edition stuff. But there is a secret to this hill. So, one, this is like a little nuke silo. And two, the reason why it's a hill when everything else here is flat is where it is it? Oh, here. Because there's a secret underground area. Now there used to be a map over here. I don't know why that's like that. Here's the, you know, missile nuke area. It used to be like a whole quarters area. I don't know. They just made it, you know, they reduced it to nothing. This used to be like a little command post type thing. But everyone had their own jet here. I think this one was mine. They were all these jets were made by Kills Carrots. He made all the planes for Afghanistan. And when he didn't, you could tell a difference. But yeah, that's the radio tower place. But moving on, this is the Chernobyl Republic. This was originally Kills Carrots, I guess like plane museum. Oh, these were positioned where I guess water moved them. But Kills Carrot was also known as Striker 2-3 because he was like the Afghanistan Air Force. So he had all of his planes that he made. They're all represented here. And he even did the SR Blackbird. the really cool spy plane. I've seen this in the actual Air and Space Museum. It's really neat aircraft. But pretty much I turned this into the capital and established the Chernobyl Republic. And this is the only building of that to survive. Over here there was like a church. No, it wasn't a church, it was a library. And then over here there was like the embassy for Afghanistan, which was burnt to the ground. And then there's a joint military base, Afghanistan and Chernobyl military base. But this right here is going to be a little research facility. I'm sort of basing this off of like this building in particular, off of like Fallout, Fallout 1 or 2, Shady Sands. A similar vibe to like how the buildings look. And that is all of Chernobyl here. However, there is this part, but this is literally a completely separate world. I just got done copying it over, and it was originally with the Fallout texture pack on, so that's why some of the stuff looks a little goofy. But I'll go over this world in another video. But that will conclude this episode, I guess you could say, tour. That'll conclude our tour of some of the new stuff here. However, there is more that happened in Seoul City. There is that little area in the art district known as Little New York, which I said in the fourth tour. So we'll look at that next time, so stay tuned for a part 7.